If you have a question, make sure you put DTC for Dryden Town Council or 13 for Legislative District 13. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Danby, you have the beautiful church. And please write them legibly. And then if you bring them to Cademan, who's here, he'll either fetch them for you in the audience or you can give them to him. We've got a lot of questions already. Some were submitted ahead of time. Many have been submitted tonight. We're unlikely to get to all of them, but we will do our best, and where we can combine questions together, we will. If questions are abusive or for only one candidate, they will not be asked. We ask you to be respectful of each other and the candidates at all times, and to refrain from both applause and heckling. Please turn off all cell phones and recording devices. The League is live streaming this event. Thank you, Ted. And a recording will be available on YouTube via our website tomorrow. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to make an opening statement, and at the end of the forum, they will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. If they want to make a rebuttal, they can make up to 3 30-second rebuttals to what one of the other candidates has said, but they must hold up the red card I've given them, and they should not interrupt. Because this forum for Legislative District 13 is followed by the forum for Danby Town Council. The last question will be asked at 7:45 and closing statements will follow. Following closing statements, there will be little time, no time to mix and mingle. If you want to continue conversations, please do it outside the room. There will be time for conversations at the end of the evening. And now I would like to introduce our candidates to you in the order in which they will make their opening statements. First of all, Matt Sullivan, here. Irene Weiser, and Kyle Erickson. And I am going to be calling everybody by their first name or the name they have asked me to use, rather than saying Mr. or Ms. or any other old-fashioned wording. So, and now, Matt.
Thank you.
3 minutes. All right, let's see. My name is Matt Sullivan, running in the Legislative District for Danby and Caroline, where I grew up and spent a lot of time and now live in West Danby. Actually, I grew up down in 96B, but I live in West Danby. I'm a local paramedic. I work at Bangs Ambulance, where I founded and currently serve as president in the CSEA affiliated union, Bangs Ambulance Workers United. We've had a long go of trying to get a contract and trying to modernize and improve the services for our residents, because these are my friends and family too. And that's the nice thing about a local election, I think. As union president, I've seen a lot of the labor issues around here, and I've seen a lot of the EMS issues, been in thousands of homes, responded to thousands of emergency calls. You know, it's a privilege and an interesting perspective, being able to walk into people's homes and see, you know, never would have met before, but here we are. The local EMS system definitely needs some improvement, and that's really what kind of I feel I bring to the table. I have a lot of experience specifically in this local system, and I think I can use that for the betterment of our development. I'm also a father, and we're looking for, you know, childcare stuff, as a lot of young families are, and I'd like to see that further developed. And there's a lot of state money for, you know, you can write grants for things like that. In order to have young families able to fully participate in our economy and society, I think we need to meet some of these basic needs. And that would be, you know, feeling safe in your home, where if you're up painting your wall and you fall off your ladder, you're not going to wait 20 minutes for an ambulance, as many parts of Caroline and Danby do. You know, we've got a lot of other industries around here, specifically in like Syracuse with Micron coming in. I think if we look around to our surrounding area, we're going to see a lot of changes coming, and like to encourage workforce development type things, but whether that be, you know, union apprenticeships or programs up at TC3 or things like that, and get a more diversified and stable economy in Ithaca. So we can put our heads together and hopefully weather this storm that's, I think we all see coming. So, and yeah, that's about where I'm at.
Irene.
So I'm always jealous of the people who are very good at extemporaneous speaking. That's not me. So I've written my remarks. And I want to start by saying, you know, these are troubling times. And I know you all are worried. I'm worried too. We're facing federal cuts that could cost our county $25 million, 10% of our county's budget, and that will devastate vital programs like food stamps, Medicaid, Head Start, heating and housing assistance, and workforce development. These are programs that support thousands of our residents. And I know from going door to door that some of you are already being affected. Meanwhile, our NICEAD costs are skyrocketing, and climate funding is being slashed, even as extreme weather events become more frequent. What's more, come January, over half the county legislature will be new, alongside with new leaders in key departments, including the health department, social services, finance, highway, transportation, and economic development. That's why I'm running. This is no time for a legislator learning curve. We need someone who knows the system, has established relationships, and understands how to get things done. I'm the only candidate in this race with governing and policy experience. I served 9 years on the Caroline Town Board and have led fossil-free Tompkins for 15. I've led efforts to ban fracking, expand broadband, and stop pipelines. I brought in millions of dollars for clean energy and helped draft laws to stop crypto mining and CO2 fracking. And I laid the groundwork for the rapid emergency medical services that now serve our communities. When elected, I'll be fiscally responsible, but will also make sure to maintain our social safety net and protect human rights and the environment. We need to invest in the systems that help vulnerable people weather the challenges ahead. I'll work to protect the rights of immigrants, LGBTQ, people of color, people with disabilities, our kids, our workers, our journalists, everyone who's being targeted or left behind. And I promise you this: if the president tries to blackmail our county, I won't back down. While the chaos at the federal level is attracting so much of our attention, we can't forget that we face another threat, an existential threat that can't be ignored. We may not have money to spend on green energy projects, but we can and must do important planning to develop a robust plan to address extreme weather events, be it extreme heat, floods, drought, smoke, wildfires, or prolonged power outages, so we know how to respond when these problems arise. Last, I strongly believe that our rural economy matters, that when rural areas thrive, the whole county benefits. That's why I'll work to make sure everyone has access to broadband, cell service, transportation, healthcare, and timely emergency services. And I'll support our local farms. It's 2 more sentences. Yes? I've spent years bringing people together to solve tough problems. That's what I'll keep doing, listening, leading, and working with all of you to protect what matters and to build a just, resilient future.
Kyle.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm here in this moment because I think right now our legislature really needs to make sure that its policies and its programs are adaptive and responsive. I've been working in our public schools for the last decade. I work at the high school as a social studies teacher. Each day, I learn more and more about the varied experiences of our youth and their families. This knowledge will go a very long way in the legislature as it aims to support all the people of Tompkins County through its policies and its programs. A strength that I bring to this position is my willingness and my ability to build strong relationships and my trust in collaborative problem solving. I have cultivated these skills as a teacher, and I see education as this deeply collaborative project, and it's improved when we work together and we share our ideas. As a legislature, I will not always have the answers, but if elected, I will dedicate my time and my energy to learning from other legislatures, county employees, town board members, and all of you, our residents. We must work together and really listen to each other in this uncertain time to address the county's most pressing issues. It will benefit our local government to have the voice of a working parent. My husband and I are right in the midst of the joys of parenthood. We have a 4-year-old son. We also make a lot of trade-offs. There's time, there's childcare, there's maybe, family time, there's work, moving on our professional careers. And this day-to-day experience that we have, I think, is relatable for lots of folks in our community. And I hope to make sure that these realities in this phase of life are represented in our county government. And also, I hope to encourage more people my age to be involved and to be paying attention in what's going on in our local government. As a native to the region, I am also connected to many generations. My parents and their peers, my own, the young adults who I've taught over the last decade, and now my sons as well. I care deeply about this place and all of you who call it home. I want to work it to make it the best place it can be for all of us now, but I also really am invested in governing for our kids and thinking about our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to questions. And as I say, if you have more questions to ask, the cards are at the back. Adrian is ready to receive them. And we're answering questions in a slightly different order. We're going to start with Kyle, and then Irene and Matt, and then it will be Matt. I'll call you up each time. So you need to go up to the podium, I'm afraid. So 1 minute. Yeah, just go up. Yep. And then as soon as she's finished, Irene, if you go up, so we save as little time as possible. What have you learned from knocking on doors this spring? What issues do you hear about most?
Good. Okay. Okay. So I think that well, one thing I've learned in meeting all of these folks, many of you or some of you and other people in our community is just what a tremendous community that we have and how many people really care about this place. As far as the issues that come up most frequently, I think in our rural district, one that I hear about a lot is emergency services. The other I hear a lot about is connectivity, and particularly when it comes to the internet, and I think that particularly is pressing perhaps in Danby, although it's also true in Caroline as well. So I think those are the two issues that have been most prominent. I think another, I've heard a lot about our cost of living concerns because we do live in an expensive place and there's a lot of pressures. And as we look at what's going on in the federal government, there's a lot of uncertainty that I hear from voters. Thank you.
Harry.
I too have heard quite a bit about broadband and the lack of good internet. I've heard a lot about NYSEG bills and how exorbitant the electric rates have become. I've heard from people who, I mean, a lot of people are really worried about what's happening to our democracy and what's going to happen to people who are vulnerable. I've met a couple of people who have lost jobs or kids have lost jobs. I met somebody who has a disabled kid and they're worried about what happens when Medicaid falls through. So it's, you know, it's, people are scared. People are really worried. They don't know what to do. And yeah, that's kind of, emergency services, hasn't really come up, but I haven't, you know, pushed it to ask people either. Trying to think if there's other issues. Climate change is a big one for a lot of people. And with my involvement in Fossil Free Tompkins, they've been pleased to hear that there is interest in working on environmental stuff.
Matt,
Well, going around the doors, obviously, I hear a lot about the things I'm talking about. So I hear a lot about emergency services. I think a lot of people are aware of the deficiencies, especially as we have an aging population nationwide. People are starting to deal with, my mother fell and I waited an exorbitantly long time to get a response. It's not always life and death, but sometimes it is. And I've personally seen people die due to the level of service we have here. I hear people talk about childcare, obviously probably because I'm talking about it, but young families seem to really respond to that. And kind of as some other people touched on, the kind of keeping our community, what we've been, kind of fortifying the walls against, the impending federal threat. I think people want to see Ithaca stay Ithaca. And I think I would agree with that. I like it here.
now the next question, which you will answer first, Matt, so start up there.
Shouldn't have left.
This questioner is deeply worried about the federal funding cuts to programs that help people survive. Do you have a plan to deal with that? And what is the county legislature's responsibility?
Well, I think the legislature's responsibility is to take a kind of a census of what that money is going to be going towards and how we can maybe avert catastrophe. Can we find money from other places to shore up things we really need? Some of this sanctuary city stuff is, I think the principles of it are what we stand for here and morally correct things. But we've got to take real stock of, half of the TCAP budget, for example, is, a combination of federal, state money. So we're going to have to go through all of these things and make sure we can keep our services going. And I think the legislator can do that or talk to people who know how to do that. Yeah.
Irene.
Well, as I said in my opening statement, from what I've seen, it looks like we've got at least $25 million at risk of being lost through federal funding cuts. These will devastate social safety net programs, along with other things like Matt mentioned, and housing programs and workforce development. I think that COVID was our dress rehearsal for this. I think that the way that we figured out how to come together as a community, collaborate between the school district, the universities and colleges, the people in town, the legislature and municipal governments. It was a very good thing that we had happen during COVID. We're going to need to do a lot more of that. I'm certainly not going to be Doge and come in and tell everybody you've got to cut your departments by, X amount of dollars. But, we will have to, the people who know their various agencies will have to figure out how to do things. But it's going to be collaborative and lots of conversations. And yeah.
So this is definitely a concern that I've heard a fair amount as I've walked around and met voters. And I think one of the things, and I fear I'm going to be slightly repetitive, but to look around and see what are the programs that are most utilized and how are we, and to make some of those choices may be tough. I also think our county has a really good track record of bringing in outside money. So applying to grants, whether those are state grants or private money that is coming into the county to support really essential programs for our residents. I think that is something that we should continue to pursue. And I had another thought. So those are my big ones, right? Is look at what we are spending, make sure that what we are spending on are the things that are working for our community the most. Oh, I remember. And to look inward, right? And think about how we have so many resources among us and how do we come together and use those resources to make sure that our food system is resilient and feeding families, right? Make sure that people have houses over there or roofs over their head in some way or not. Thank you.
Yes. So you're next. Yes. What will you do to keep in contact with the residents of both Danby and Caroline?
Well, I've had the great privilege of getting to know Danby Food and Drink a bit. And it's a remarkable place. I really appreciate it. And I think in addition to attending town board meetings in both towns, that I would set up, you know, whatever to call it, office hours at both Danby Food and Drink and Brookton Market. Dan, I think you started a tradition of, I know in our old mill newsletter, you would write a monthly report. I think that Ted hosts a similar newsletter here in Danby. I presume you added that report to that as well. And, you know, and certainly I'm always an email or phone call away. I welcome hearing from people and connecting because I'm here to serve you.
Matt.
So connecting with people, I think is it's a big part of being a representative as opposed to just an implementer, right? So I had the idea for town halls as well. Office hours type situation. Definitely think regular town halls and just being somewhere for people to meet you is a good idea. Willing to talk. And I have connections with the various local fire departments through my work. I have connections with various union leaders, and so I think I am probably going to be talking to a lot of people that you all talk to, and I know many people in this area. I've lived here a long time, as these other candidates have as well. So,
Irene. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Kyle.
So similar ideas. I think one of the big things that I would hope to do to stay connected to residents is to have office hours, I guess. Danby Food and Drink definitely stands out, as is the Brookendale Market, but other community centers beyond those I think are also really important to reach out because not necessarily all residents frequent those locations. So that's one thing. I would absolutely send updates. I believe there's 2 local Danby publications, and then I would also send for Caroline, our old mill publication. It's not as frequent as it once was, but still. And then I would definitely plan on attending both town board meetings on a regular basis and giving sort of an update to the town board members and also community members if that is easier to attend than perhaps the legislative meetings. And I think those would be the ways I would plan on reaching as many people as I could. And I would also be available via the technology.
Irene. You went already, Matt. You've all been. Okay. All right. Irene, you start. Yep. Thank you. You talked about people getting older. They're certainly getting older in the League of Women Voters.
Not Caitlin.
Okay. Is there anything you could do about rising property taxes? If not, how would you work to make housing more affordable generally?
So I think that what the county's role in this really is that the county can leverage projects at the town level to bring more affordable housing to the town. And So I think that is one really important way that the county can work with the towns to make sure that Danby and Caroline have more access to affordable housing. I also know that the county can help the towns apply for various grants that help homeowners make improvements to their house via these grants. So it's not an expense to the homeowners, which is a way for people to keep houses over their heads for a longer time. So those would be two ways that I would be thinking about. How do we make sure that home ownership is an affordable thing for more families in our communities? Because I do know that this is a pressing issue and is on the minds of lots of people as they think about living in Tompkins County. Thank you.
It's, no, it's Irene next. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
So, first, just let me say, this is a big topic for a 1-minute answer. I'll fix it on day one. I mean, no, my real answer is that it is complicated, and crucially important. There are many people who struggle to keep roofs over their head right now. The county does have some roles and some, I think, levers were one of the words that was used. We have a community housing development fund that receives money from Cornell, from the city of Ithaca, a bit from some of the municipalities. And then the big thing is from builders, developers who build stuff that doesn't have at least 20% affordable housing in it. They're required to make a donation to, or pay to this housing fund that then can be leveraged to build other affordable housing. So that's one of the big pieces that I think we can do more with. I think we can raise the amount of money that has to be paid if they're not actually building affordable housing.
Well, yeah. So from my understanding, they're currently talking about, star rebate increases. So that could offset some of that. The county does have a say in how high people's taxes are, and we have to be very cognizant of what services we're providing, and are they pet projects, or are they things that we really need and people can afford? It's expensive enough around here for residents, and from what I've heard from people walking around, some people were yelling at me like I was already elected. So it's, people are obviously upset about some things, but you got to keep in mind some of these services are pretty important, and I think generally we use our money fairly well, and that's what I've been told from most of the other legislators I've spoken to. The county's not in that bad of a spot, and that may change soon, but yeah.
Okay, you're going to answer this one first, mate. So that's right. Should the county strive for both environmental sustainability and economic growth at the same time?
Well,
if so, how?
Well, yes, I think that, I think it's pretty clear most people around here want to see us going in a, general Green New Deal-ish type direction. To me, that's pretty clear from the people I've talked to. I think that is actually going to be a really great opportunity for us to diversify our workforce and probably tie in with some of the local trades, get some unions involved, get some apprenticeships involved, get TC3 involved, get some job training programs for people to around here to succeed in this new era we're entering. I think it's coming fast, and I would hate to see us get left behind. The people around here, I think, are the type that would like to be leaders in that wave. There's a lot of grant money for a lot of this stuff as well. Some of the home, modernizing things. There's a lot of grant money. There's grant money for replacing your septic tank, or your what I'm talking about, putting in a new septic tank. And there's a lot of money out there for things like that. So I think grants and job training, and there we go.
Kyle.
So My answer to this is yes, I do think that we should pursue both economic growth and thinking about how we make a greener future. I think part of the reason for this is if we can increase one of the things that can happen is if we actually encourage economic growth, right? It's more to pull from to support our programs, right? It's more money to support the various things that we find so important. And they're so important to so many of our residents because it's a larger tax base. So that's one reason for the economic growth. As far as moving forward, I do think it's essential that we think about the future and a brighter future for our kids. We all know we've experienced the last several months and we know that the climate is changing. And I know that the county is really taking steps towards being more energy efficient. I also think we need to be really mindful because people are so concerned about costs that we pick things that really are the best bang for their buck when we invest, when we invest in things that move us to a greener future.
Irene.
So the so-called dichotomy between economic development and environmental action is a false dichotomy. And we've seen that time and again in Tompkins County and in other places, as Matt has already spoken to. Moving towards environmental things improves the job market, improves the opportunity for employment. It also positions our county. Look, this is going to be happening everywhere. So people need to change how they're doing things and move in a green direction. If Tompkins County can lead on that front, it becomes attractive to businesses to be able to say, we've already got the energy problem solved. We have local, renewable, reliable grid, renewable energy opportunities for you. That is attractive to industry, and we will attract more industry here by doing that.
Stay up there because you're going to answer the next one first. Can you give an example of a group you were in where there were knotty problems requiring compromise on all sides? Can you describe that group and also tell us about how you think your actions amongst the group were helpful?
It's a perfect segue to the previous question because some years ago, there was a pipeline proposed to go from Dryden into Lansing that was to deliver gas to Lansing for days of reliability and then also to encourage more growth in Lansing. Lots of more housing developments and such. And there was the Chamber of Commerce and some people in the legislature who were very upset at this idea that this was Lansing and we needed the economic growth and we could not convert, we needed the pipeline. And so initially we convened a working group that brought in opposing parties and we had lots and lots of discussions. We invited NYSEG in to explain it. When we learned that this pipeline was going to cost some $18 million and mostly be used for a couple of weeks or maybe a month in February when it was really cold, I think that was a turning point. We then had to come up with an agreement between those who still were opposed and figure out how to move forward. We took it ultimately to the Public Service Commission and to NYSEG, and through many years of continued pushing and collaboration with them, we established the first time in New York State for doing what's called a non-pipe alternative. And that's now become adopted through all the utilities in New York State, that before they put in a pipeline, they have to look for non-pipe alternatives.
Thank you. Matt.
All right. Well, I was a member of the Central New York Emergency Medical Services Council for a little while as a non-voting member. So, I wasn't a mover and shaker, but you can see how insular groups like that can definitely get corrupted. There's a lot of for-profit ambulance company owners in the group governing that body. And I feel that was a little bit of a shenanigan prone situation. And, that's part of what inspired me to maybe go to the government route as opposed to the EMS council route. It's trying to fix the system without the people who are maybe contributing to the current way it is. So, yeah.
So I think that my experience here, as I said earlier, I work in the public schools. The schools have had to undergo a lot of change, particularly since COVID. And I think that I've worked on collaborative groups around how do we change our attendance policy or adapt our attendance policy, because attendance has changed a lot. How do we adapt our grading policy? How do we adapt our cell phone policy as these computers have ended up in everyone's pockets? So I've worked on a lot of these different collaborative groups in order to make policy that works for our kids. And in the schools, I think when we're working together, we're thinking about all the stakeholders, right? We're thinking about the kids, we're thinking about the teachers, we're thinking about the families, we're thinking about the administrators, and you have to balance all that. And when I think about my role, I think I wonder, asker, right? Like I wonder, and I think I try really hard to think about things from other people's perspective in order to build something that is lasting and that considers all the stakeholders as best as possible. Thank you.
So Irene. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, have you
Yeah.
answered it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh, and I was the
it-
first one on this, so I guess
it should be
it's
Matt.
Matt's turn to be first.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that was figured out by around the time it's going to-
Yeah, well, not everybody was here on time. What county legislative committees do you want to serve on and why? Oh, and this, by the way, I say this is the last question before we have closing statements.
I would be interested to obviously serve on the, public safety and, I have a little experience with environmental stuff, but probably not as much as Irene does. I would go where needed. I think I have a pretty broad breadth of experience. I was in the military for a while. I served in Iraq. I have some leadership experience in that capacity, and yeah, that's about what I got for you.
Kyle.
I think the committee that draws me in the most is Health and Human Services. This is where a lot of the youth programming is run through, and that's something that I'm really passionate about, care a lot about, and I think I'm pretty connected to that part of our community. So that's one place. I also see myself in sort of there's a committee that deals with governance, and one of the reasons that this attracts me is I think one of the things that you're doing in the legislature is responding to state level policies and thinking about how do we inform our decisions, right, based on what we know about our constituents, right? And how do we then digest that information that's coming down from other levels of government in a way that can be presented to everybody so that everybody has a good sense of what's going on in county in county government. So those are the two that I think about mostly, although there's been a lot about in public safety in conversations in the legislature currently that are very interesting as well. Thank you.
The three committees that would be of most interest to me are the Planning Environmental Quality Committee for maybe obvious reasons after what I've spoken about. But in addition, public safety, and that's both because I've worked to set up the Emergency Services Task Force that identified the long service times that Matt has talked about. And it's an ongoing issue. And there are ongoing conversations about how to take the emergency medical services that we have now in the quick response program and to expand that across the county and longer hours, and we'll have to figure that out. I'm also concerned about public safety issues. Some of you may be aware of the racial issues that we've been dealing with in Caroline. I've been involved in that. And that, of course, involves both the district attorney's office and the sheriff's department. I'm also interested, so I did public safety, and also the other piece is climate resilience. And this is a health and human services, but also an emergency services piece to figure out how we deal with floods and heat waves and how we build a resilient community. And that needs to be coordinated at the county level. So
now because of the time, we're going to go to the closing statements. And the order is Matt and then Irene and then Kyle. And there's 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay. Well, my closing statement's probably gonna mirror my opening statement quite a bit, but you know, I feel that I have a unique perspective on the problems of this county, being a longtime resident, being a paramedic, being someone who's worked in local labor issues. And I wouldn't be trying to run for this position if I didn't think I had an ability to make a difference and speak for the people. You know, I think going forward, listening to my friends and neighbors is probably going to impact my policy quite a bit. You know, I'm not trying to come in with a revolutionary hard charge thing to cram down somebody's throat, but I am trying to make everyone's life better. And I would like to make sure I have the consent of the local people to be doing what I'm doing. So, yeah, it's not probably 2 minutes, but I want, I'd really like to see everyone in this district have a happy, healthy, and safe life. And I think we can make some improvements to that. So.
So I want to start by thanking the league, the Danby Community and Park, and the Danby Church for hosting this event. And also thanks to my colleagues here for thoughtful answers to these questions and for giving voters a choice. This is, you know, kind of democracy happening here, and that's a good thing. And mostly I want to thank everybody here for coming out, for your thoughtful questions and for caring so much about this community. It gives me hope. It gives me hope to see you all here and to know that as long as you keep showing up, they can't kill our local democracy. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I do have experience bringing people together to solve tough problems. And I firmly believe that that's where our community's real strength lies, in coming together. We saw it when we fought to keep fracking out, and we saw it when COVID hit and we pulled together to take care of our neighbors. When we come together, we are strong, creative, and resilient. If there's a silver lining in Trump's madness, I believe it's this, that we will come together, neighbor to neighbor, and build a stronger community and a stronger democracy. I saw a poster at a rally the other day that said, when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. And that poster really spoke to me, because for me, resistance isn't just raising my fist in the air in the streets. It's about showing up and doing the work. And that's what I'm here to do, to use the experience I've gained and the talents I have to serve our community. I'm ready to listen, ready to lead, and ready to work with all of you to protect what matters, to build a just, resilient, and hopeful future. I'm asking for your vote so together we can protect what matters and make this community stronger for everyone.
I also want to thank you, excuse me, for coming out on the day the sun is shining, which I felt like the sun had died for a little while. So that was nice, even if it's hot. So in my mind, the job of local government is to serve local people. And as a native to this region with 10 years of teaching experience at IHS, or Ithaca High School, I'm sorry, I am connected to many generations and familiar with the varied experiences of the people of this county. I think this lens will really help the legislature shape inclusive and effective policies moving forward. And every time that I make a decision on the legislature, I'll be thinking about my parents' peers who are maybe living on a fixed income or seeking to stay safe and connected as they age. I'll be thinking about families who are in the midst of trying to pay for childcare or finding affordable homes to rent, or maybe even purchasing a home, that is. I'll be thinking about the teenagers and the young adults that I've been teaching over the last 10 years and thinking about how we can help them feel engaged in their community and connected to one another. And I'll be thinking about all the young children who need a bright future. During times of uncertainty, which I think we have all alluded to this evening, we must focus on working in collaboration with one another. I am really committed to learning from and working with the county employees, with town governments, other legislatures, and the people of Caroline and Danby and the other parts of our county. I think I am a collaborative problem solver with lots of practice in this, and I will engage thoughtfully with community partners as we try to address our most pressing needs and adapt to the changing circumstances around us. I am ready and I'm really excited to put the time and effort needed to be prepared to serve you in this office. I will attend meetings. I will meet with county employees. I will speak with as many of you as I possibly can, and I will be honored to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you. Now, that's the end of Legislative District 13's forum. We're now transferring to Danby Town Council forum. And so everybody needs to switch over. Yeah, and bring their names back.
It's Tyler, Mark, Zachary, right?
Yeah, it's in the order of these, left.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay, just put them on top of the names. Oh, no, you've got to use these as stamps.
Oh, okay, we put them on the top. I see.
They-
Okay,
yeah.
okay, sorry.
That's all right. No, just turn, no, just. Sorry.
Oh, right around.
No, that's. I'm. There, you can't see the other name coming through.
Okay,
Okay.
then we should turn this one around too.
Oh, okay, all right, there you go.
There we go.
So that's 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so this one goes into the far end, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, that's a good idea. Yes. So.
Sorry, I didn't realize how we were doing that, my bad.
That's okay. I mean, the.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So one day.
Well,
He's persistent. I was
Yeah.
doing that too.
thank you.
How are your lessons? Apparently this
Pretty chill. I haven't really gotten senioritis, so I'm on top of my stuff, so I don't really have much to do.
Okay.
So Chicago and Stanford, the two universities, gotta be there.
Okay, so that, I think this one is,
So I don't show up till late September.
this might lead
But-
to that.
Well, yes. Well, no, yeah,
And-
it's very nice, but I may be leaving at
Tell
the
me
beginning
what
of
you like
September.
best.
for pre-college, right? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, that's a good one.
Mid-August, yeah, it's very nice, it's good experience.
And I think this is a good one because we don't.
I may try
During
out
COVID,
on,
the
but we have so much
community-
planned for this summer that I'm not sure I'll have time to see what happens. What about you? Are you running anywhere?
Unless they drove.
Oh, wow.
outside
Okay.
the market,
Do you have a time to be?
to the local line.
And it's been improved.
And I was like,
There's still pockets.
I was a bit.
Oh, the pocket. Yeah.
And I looked at my time today and I think 7 hours.
No way.
Yeah.
This is
7 hours.
So here, there's a new zone.
That must be one hell of a track.
It's a lot, it's like, it's crazy, kind of like shimmy.
Oh, so that goes in with,
Like dance development.
It sounds more like
yeah,
multimodal,
okay.
Very.
multimodal long distance running for bears.
So we need, yeah,
Okay,
Together,
that's, yeah.
Then I've been doing lots.
How's Brent been?
I think, have we got one on, you know, affordable housing?
He's like very, just turning into like, I don't know what.
That was one of the cheaper guys. I think they can walk enough to actually.
Well, they can have zoning that include just about.
Been very fruitful, like.
Yeah.
Pretty, you know, So, yeah, it's very.
Okay. And not too long until maybe you teach him, and.
My gosh.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Crazy, feels time.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
All right.
Well, have a nice night.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You too.
So this is, there is going to be a skate park, so we can ask that.
Okay,
How much will liability insurance?
we'll take care of that. But there is going to be a skate. Okay. Okay.
Here's a general.
Okay. Yes, okay. All right. Yeah. You want me to do it from here or up there? Okay, all right. So good evening again. Good evening. I'd like to start if that's possible. Thank you. So welcome to our second forum of the evening. So for new audience members, I would remind you that the League of Women Voters is non-partisan at all times and never supports individuals or parties. We ask you to be respectful of each other and the candidates and not to ask abusive questions or ones that are only designed for one candidate to answer. There are cards available, and we've received a lot of them here already, for you to write your questions on. Please turn off cell phones and recording devices. The League is live streaming this event thanks to TED, and a recording will be available on YouTube via our website tomorrow. Each candidate has 3 minutes to make an opening statement, 2 minutes to make a closing statement. They may have 1 minute to answer each question. They may also make up to 3 30-second rebuttals to another candidate's answers, but must hold up their red card, which you have in front of you, to do so and not interrupt. Following closing statements, there will be time to mix and mingle and for conversation while we clear the room. And now I would like to introduce our candidates to you in the order in which they will make their opening statements. They will also be answering the first question in the same order. So first of all, we have James Tyler Stein, who I will be addressing as Tyler. Matt Pruce, Mark Pruce, I'm sorry. And then Zachary Larkins, who I will be calling Zachary. So Tyler, if you would like to go up to the podium for your, which is 3 minutes.
I've also written my opening statement to read instead of trying to do it off the cuff.
I would suggest you're a little taller than the last candidates. You hold up the...
How's that? Is that a little better? Okay, great. My name is James Tyler Stein. I was appointed to the Danby Town Board this year, and I'm running to remain a Danby council person because I believe that to protect the things we love, we must remain constantly vigilant forever. My life experience has taught me that it only takes a moment to destroy what took generations to create. I moved to Interlaken, New York, just north of Ithaca in 2014 from the state of Ohio, where high volume hydraulic fracturing was allowed to destroy one community after another against the wishes of the actual people who lived in those communities. Because Ohio lacks the crucial home rule protections that we enjoy here in New York State, which would have certainly prevented that destruction. I do not take for granted the right of communities to control what industries and practices they wish to allow in their neighborhoods, and I couldn't be prouder of how quickly Danby got fracking banned in this community. It was a big part of how I chose to move from Interlaken to here and why I'm in New York at all. All evidence points to the United States having fallen into oligarchy. I am concerned that powerful interests with undue influence may someday set their sights on our community, as they have virtually every small rural community in my previous home state of Ohio that overlies the Marcellus Shale. I want to ensure that our community is ready to defend our collective interests, clean air, water, soil, before they are impacted. I want to make sure that the citizens of Danby are able to determine what happens here. I've lived near communities that have had no such self-determination, where the only justice that they ever received came after they had already proved that they had been harmed when it was too late. I live in Danby with my wife and 3 kids. I donated my 24 acres of forest to the town of Danby to be conserved in perpetuity as a forest, with a small section set aside for potential agricultural use, for perhaps a future owner, maybe. I work for the Tompkins Community Bank. I've worked there for 8 years in a variety of IT roles. And as an IT professional, I am accustomed to learning how things work, why they don't work, and fixing them. I value and enjoy working together on a team and collaborating to generate the best action plans that we can. And I enjoy the satisfaction of executing on those plans. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Mark. I live on White Hawk Lane with my partner, Sarah, who's a nurse, and our 2 kids who are at South Hill Elementary. I grew up in New Jersey, but I moved here about 10 years ago, and I have loved living in Danby. Professionally, I'm a web developer, also IT. I worked full-time from home for a nonprofit. I've worked with them for about 5 years. And before that, I was a freelancer managing clients. I did some graphic design and built websites for them. More importantly, I think I'm a project manager. That involves the skill of taking a large project and breaking it into small parts and working towards that over time. Actually, I just heard at the last town board meeting, someone was saying that is an issue that people have with the town board, that there's a lot of good ideas, but not a good follow through. And that's something that I think I can really bring to the town board. Outside of work, I have about 500 different hobbies, but just a few of them. I really love seasonal outdoor projects, tapping maple trees, starting seeds, preserving garden harvest. So that's the kind of thing that I'm doing if you were to knock on my door at any given day. In my spare time, whatever spare time I can find, I do volunteering. I've worked a bit with Loaves and Fishes. I've started for the last few months going weekly to No Mas Lagrimas, which is No More Tears, the food pantry downtown. And closer to home, I do a lot of work with White Hawk Eco Village. And over the last 10 years, that's ranged from facilitating meetings to drafting policy, to literally filling potholes and other specific, hands-on tasks. But more importantly, I've developed a lot of interpersonal skills that I think would be an asset on the board. I've learned how, when you're living in a close-knit community and your kids are playing together every day, you can't just have a disagreement and insult someone and close the laptop and walk away like people do on the internet or when they're dealing with people from far away. When you're in a close-knit community, you have to be committed to listening closely, to understanding other people's perspectives, to communicating clearly your own perspective and working through problems. And that feels really relevant when issues come up on the town board. Things get heated, but we're also a close-knit community and we should be able to overcome that. So I'm primarily motivated to give back through public service. That's something that I've learned, is that you can only get out of community what you put into community. And I have gotten a lot out of the town of Danby over the last 10 years. And so I'm really eager for an opportunity to give back. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Zachary Larkins. I've been a resident of Danby since 2023. I've been employed by the town as town hall maintenance since the fall of 2023. I started watching recorded Zoom meetings of the town board before moving here, and have subsequently attended most meetings since living here. I was involved with building the boardwalk in Dotson Park and currently working on a new town park on Bald Hill Road. I'm running for town board because I've lived in a lot of places, and this is the first time I want to put down roots. Regardless of how much I enjoy helping facilitate projects, I'm more interested in the minutiae of collaboratively helping to run a town. So much of the job is keeping an eye on the town's finances and residents' taxes. Between attending town board meetings and interacting with town employees, I've developed an understanding of finance, the process of applying for approval of bids to make projects happen, and how crucial grants can be. I support progress. I would like to keep working on more places for kids. It's great seeing new businesses come to town. I know it will come up at some point tonight, but I will say I support sewering in Danby, if more information can be presented that makes it make sense and people can come together and have conversations about it. This is a very special community, and no matter the outcome of the election, I still plan on helping in any capacity that I can.
Tyler, you're going to answer the question first. What is the biggest change you think the town needs to make or challenge it needs to address?
The biggest change or challenge it needs to address. Okay. I do think that the development of Danby is inevitable, just like the development of everywhere else is inevitable. So I think that the challenge would be developing Danby in a way that we all agree we want to see, which I think would be within the hamlet and not outside of the hamlet. So to me, the most important challenge would be that Danby develops along those lines. Boy, that was a fast 30 seconds. That Danby develops within the hamlet and not outside the hamlet. And yeah, I did vote at the most recent town board meeting to get the ball rolling on a plan for creating districts for the sewering so that we can move forward with coming up with ideas about how we would pay for it and where it would affect. So yeah.
Well,
I think the main challenge that I would identify for the town is in a combination of tone and sort of the nature of collaboration. What I've noticed, over the years and more recently attending town meetings is, first of all, not a lot of people attend town meetings. And when issues have come up, when they've arose, whether it's the noise, the sewer, other issues over the last few years, I got the sense that people felt so unengaged with the town that they felt that the only way to express what they wanted was to show up in sort of a confrontational way. So what I would love to see is the town board specifically to do more outreach, to bring more people in, to not just invite people to the town board meetings, because I get it, those can be boring and sometimes the schedule doesn't work, but maybe we need to do more events where people can show up informally to learn and express. And I truly believe that the solutions will arise when more people feel comfortable bringing forward their advice, and we won't, instead of sort of butting heads when there's an ultimate vote, we're working towards compromise.
I'm going to piggyback off of Tyler. Dense development would allow us more of a potential to have childcare, building more community because people are closer together and interacting and walking, and also the potential of a 55+ community or assisted living. There isn't a place here that has that, so you have to leave the community to do that, and that's a really unfortunate situation.
Stay there because you're going to be the first one to ask this.
Sorry.
Ted, can you adjust the microphone so people are complaining about not hearing him at the back?
I can do this. It's fine. I'll make it work. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Do you support the wastewater system? How much has been spent on it and how much are you willing to spend on it?
I mean, me personally spend that. So
No,
no, I know. It's kind of hard not to consider something. The DC doesn't often give away $4.58 million grants for a project if they think it's not worth going after. Personally, there needs to be a lot more information. I have researched it thoroughly, might be an understatement, unfortunately. But I also wouldn't support it unless it was only paid for by people that are using it. I don't think anyone that's not directly using it should have to pay into it.
Tyler.
Yeah. I did, like I mentioned a moment ago, I did vote just last Monday to spend the money that it would take to create the map of the districts so that we can be able to create a plan and explain to people where this system would exist and who would be inside it, who would be outside of it. I also agree that it should only be paid for by the people who are within the district. My personal opinion is that I would not have a problem paying for sewering, although I'm outside of it. But it's a good example of how I understand that my personal opinion on that is probably not popular. So I would vote to only have it paid for by the people within the sewer district. You know, if it were to be something that we went forward with. I was willing to spend the substantial amount of money to create the plan because I do believe that there's a good chance we should go forward with it.
So I think some amount of growth and development is inevitable. And in fact, not only is it inevitable, but it's really a good thing. Costs for a town of this size are going to keep going up. They just are. We can try to sort of keep the overall expenses down, but costs are going to keep going up. And so we need some level of development. And I live here because I love the natural character and the rural character, the beauty of the area. And so I think finding that balance is going to be what is needed. The way that you can find the balance with growth is you can either limit it by zoning, which we do, or you can incentivize it by adding infrastructure or other ways of incentivizing growth. So I think that we need to keep exploring the wastewater, and I am in general in favor of it. But I would not say that I'm in favor of hiking up the taxes as much as we need in order to pay for it and pushing out citizens who can't afford it. If that was the only way to do it, then I would be opposed. But I truly believe that if we keep exploring it, we'll be able to find the right balance and hopefully be able to fund the project.
Stay up there because you're first on the next question. This question is from someone who still doesn't have broadband service and is wondering what the town can do to help. The other question is it time to give up on broadband? Can't hotspots provide internet? Speaking from experience, no broadband has been available where I live. But my cell phone's hotspot gives me everything I need. Now, sort of to paraphrase that, what will you do about the availability of broadband in this community?
There's a lot of things in that one question. I think the town's role is limited, and Dan is probably like laughing inside because I know that he's worked probably harder than anyone else from the county level to get broadband. And I would be lying if I said I know exactly how to fix that problem. I think it's Dryden that did a town-owned broadband expansion. I think that's worth exploring, but I don't know enough about it to say that it's definitely the right solution for us. Whether it's broadband or a hotspot, my instinct is that a hotspot is not going to work for everybody. I don't think that you can work from home, which I've done, worked from home on a hotspot. It really limits. So if we're talking about trying to make sure that we can support further growth and expansion and people running businesses from their homes, I don't think we can just say use a hotspot. So I think we need to keep exploring it, but I don't have the solution. Shocker.
So Zachary, you're next.
Besides obviously talking to the legislature about it, ongoing conversation, it's real rough. I mean, even if you can get the line near your house, my partner and I were quoted $6,000 to run 300 feet of line. We have a hotspot. It works well enough, but there are so many people that are moving here that are computer humans, and that is what they do for work. So I absolutely do not have a solution to that. Yeah, it sure be nice.
I wish I had more time to talk about this question because I believe this is just one of those things where we Americans, we shoot too low and we have too low of expectations. Broadband internet is a basic fundamental utility everywhere else in the world. That rural communities in the United States don't have broadband is a failing of our state and our nation. Most countries would not accept not having broadband internet in a place like this, 10 minutes from a relatively large urban area. We absolutely should pursue broadband. I do work fully remote using a hotspot. I hope my boss isn't watching this because the speeds are not fast enough. You know, I struggle a little bit, but because I'm an IT professional, I make it work. But yeah, a hotspot is not good enough for first world modern internet access. We should continue to pursue broadband. And it should be affordable.
So you're answering the next question first.
We'll get this down.
What are your ideas about limiting logging and development for profit that is not in the interest of the community?
That's a great question. I didn't actually expect that question to come up, but I am prepared for it. I might be a bit of a extremist tree hugger here, but I don't think that there should be any large scale logging in this community. Maybe that's a NIMBY position, but these are difficult times and we should protect our community, even if that means that we are externalizing our wood usage to some other community where they're not protecting their community, or maybe where they have the right community to be producing wood. This isn't that community. That being said, if landowners want to cut down some trees, make some firewood, create a yard, I don't see that as the same problem. I see the problem of large-scale logging not as just a problem of destroying forests, which I don't have time to explain why destroying forests is so terrible, but I believe the people in this room might already know. But it also destroys roads very reliably. You can count on the roads being destroyed when large-scale logging comes in. And we've seen it on Deputron Hollow Road recently. And I'm looking forward to the logging law coming across our desk at the town board.
Mark.
Pretty similar. I think there should be, I am supportive of restrictive logging laws. I think there are limited times when a private homeowner who owns a lot of land, there are ways to do sustainable logging. There are ways to make sure that you're replacing what you're cutting down. It's never going to, I don't think that will work at a commercial large scale. So I think that there's a little bit of a balancing to make sure that private homeowners have the rights to do what they need to do. But I think the question is mostly really about commercial logging, which I would be very supportive of limiting completely or mostly.
Zach.
I feel like I could just say same. I really large scale commercial logging, don't support it, but I think there's something if your forest privately is getting overcrowded and you're taking out a few trees, that makes sense.
$30 seconds.
I just want to say that I don't believe in the idea that a forest could naturally become overcrowded. I know there's a lot of industry talk about young forest initiatives and how removing old trees makes space for new trees. And I do believe that that's a bunch of baloney designed to assist the industry in cutting down the large, more valuable trees. I think that the science does not back up the idea that small trees or new growth sequesters carbon, and it, as we all know, allows invasive species to take over, and then the old trees take longer to come back.
Okay. You're answering this question first, Zachary. So go up to the podium while these are two similar questions. What will you do to keep in contact with residents of Danby? And if people don't often attend town meetings, how would you communicate with them to increase their involvement?
Can you say the first question again? I'm sorry.
What will you do to keep in contact with residents of Danby?
Thank you. This is, sorry, slightly difficult to answer, but also I know so many of the people in the room already. I somehow became very social when I moved here, like I've never experienced before. And I am pretty easy to find. My partner and I are at some point opening a coffee trailer, and that will be easy enough. You could probably just contact her and have her find me. As far as me forgetting the next question, the two things really hard. It's having engagement. It's difficult. It's been I've had such long stretches of having no one at meetings, and now people are starting to show up. So my hope is that people just find something that they're interested in and start showing up.
Tyler. What will you do to keep in contact with residents of Dryden? Danby. Oh. If people don't often attend town meetings, how would you communicate with them to increase their involvement? Which seems to me to be the same as communicating with them. Sure.
I'm not gonna lie, that's not gonna be a high priority for me. I don't have a plan for that, and I would leave that up to the people of Danby to choose to do that. If people don't want to engage, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of my time on that. I have a full-time job, so I'll be focused on my priorities and action items, doing the job from the desk and between the meetings. I don't think that I have a great master plan to get the people who are not engaged to become engaged. Maybe the federal government will get people paying attention. I don't know.
Mark.
I do actually think it's an important part of holding public office to do the work to engage with people. I think that's the first disagreement of the entire night, maybe the second. I almost want to turn the question around because I'm curious how people would like to engage, because I don't know that I know the one answer, but I can imagine a number of different ways, whether that's like the county candidates talked about, maybe holding office hours, similar to what Greg Hutnick has done, the planner at Danby Food and Drink. I think that's a great model. I'm in favor of informal ways of communicating rather than more formal, but I also think that some people might just want to receive, probably not text messages, but maybe an email once every few weeks with a summary of what's going on. I think the town board could do something like that. I don't think that there's too many obstacles, but we could do a little bit of work to find out for people. Obviously, if someone doesn't want to be engaged in town business, that's fine. But I think that people are interested, or would be, if it felt more doable. So I think doing some outreach to find out what methods people would like us to use would probably be a good first step.
Okay, stay there. The new zoning in Danby encourages dense development with houses close to the road and only 10 or 20 feet apart. Many current residents live here because of Danby's rural character. Do you support dense development? Do you want to see downtown Danby looking like Trumansburg, Dryden, or the Commons?
Is that? I do support dense development. I don't think that we need to try to push it, but I think, like I said earlier, some amount of development is going to happen anyway. And so the best that we can do in order to preserve the rural character is to shape it by zoning is sort of the main way, but I talked a little bit about incentives before. When I was going door to door, I did hear from a few people who said that the distance from the door to the road that's a little bit too limiting. So maybe there's some room for improving it. Maybe it's a little bit too restrictive, but in general, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I think it would be great to have a downtown like Trumansburg. I think having some more businesses, having some places where people can walk from, getting their coffee to meeting up with a friend and going to see a show. Those kinds of things seem like they would bring a lot to the character of a community. I think what Karthik is doing at Danby Food and Drink is sort of proof already that there's a need for it. People want it. So the best we can do is sort of encourage it slowly and as sort of fits the community that we're in.
I don't. No. Zachary.
I don't know if the houses would necessarily be 10 feet apart from each other, but I will say that having density slows down building in areas that are sensitive to watershed, to animals, other environmental issues. And it doesn't have to be modeled after anything else. There's a unique opportunity to build something that is our own. It's not like anywhere else yeah.
So I lived in Interlaken for 2 years before moving to Danby 8 years ago. And as an Interlaken resident, I came to be a big fan of Trumansburg. I love Trumansburg, but I don't think it's possible for Danby to become Trumansburg in the next 25 years. Trumansburg has 50 businesses downtown. And that's great for Trumansburg and for the people of Interlaken. But even Interlaken has more businesses downtown than we do. And I mean, Interlaken is a ghost town. So I would say, we want dense development within the hamlet. I'm not sure if the exact rule would be, houses 10 feet apart, or what we would decide on, but I do think that a handful of businesses and a sidewalk down 96B in the Hamlet would be great and could make an incentive to step out of your house and walk down the road to the laundromat, the restaurant, play some pool. I don't know.
Okay, you're gonna answer the next one first.
We're not.
And this is sort of related. What do you think Danby can do about the housing problems we have throughout the county? And also, I assume also in Danby.
So I'm assuming by housing problems, you mean people
of-
having trouble finding houses for the price that they can afford. I'm open to solutions to that problem. I'm not sure exactly what we might be able to do to lower the costs of housing immediately within Danby from the town board. But I'm interested in hearing ideas for that. We do have the grants that we've been recently talking about, but with federal grants, I wouldn't expect those to continue to exist. And I don't have a huge amount of faith that they'll come back when the federal government changes hands again. But I do think we need to rely on the state of New York to take over the role of the grants and the things that the federal government used to provide for our community.
Oh.
There probably isn't, I don't think, just one solution that's just going to fix affordable housing. I think it'll be a variety of different options. I'm a really big fan of INHS, Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Services. I think they have a lot of really creative solutions like public-private partnerships. And just recently, the town voted to sort of support through a change in the tax. I'm not going to be able to explain the project in 30 seconds, but I think INHS is a good example of creative solutions to keep people in their homes and to create affordable housing. I also think, like I mentioned before, we can do a lot through incentives. So, for example, a wastewater treatment system that made it easier to build might incentivize more affordable housing, or townhouses, or something that might be a little more complicated to fit on a lot with a private septic. So, to the extent that we can continue investing in infrastructure, like a wastewater system, or I guess broadband, but other types of infrastructure, I think that's probably the best we can do at the town level.
I haven't actually said what I do for a living yet. I've been a contractor for over 20 years at this point, and affordable housing outside of getting grants to help really comes down to density. You're spending less on all of your connections, you're spending less on lot size, you're hoping that you work with a builder that doesn't rake you over the coals. And it's hard because the cost of everything is so much more expensive than it's ever been. It's not simple. It is possible. And having sewer and potentially exploring public water at some point also would really help.
Oh, you're answering the next one first, Zachary, sorry. I understand there are plans for a skate park. Who will use it? How much will it cost for liability insurance and maintenance? And who will take care of it?
Well, I am unfortunately the answer to most of those questions. I am currently trying to, I have not had time this week to reach out to the architect for plans. It is going to be pretty much completely community built. I've reached out to other people to help. The insurance is fairly inexpensive. I believe under $1,000 to add it on. I will be maintaining it. I will be building it. I feel like and demographic. It's not the youth. Danby Youth Bureau. I've sat in. Thank you. I've sat in on a few meetings, and it is one of the things that kids here have requested, and there needs to be more places for kids.
Tyler.
Yeah, I also like the idea of a skate park. I think a skate park is a pretty simple, low maintenance way to create a park space that attracts kids and gets them outdoors doing something wholesome. I don't think that the minimal insurance cost would be a big problem. I think that all in all, it's a great idea to have a skate park for skaters of Danby.
I can say with some certainty that at least one of the people who's going to use it is my daughter, who's 7, and we got her a skateboard last year for her birthday, and she was really excited about it. So I mean, I think the demographic is the same as everyone said, and I like the idea of having more places for people to gather. I think teens are spending a lot more time on social media and on technology, and the more we can do to incentivize and make it easy and fun for them to get outside and spend time together is really great. I don't know that we've figured out all the answers about who's going to maintain it. And I actually think I was the person who asked the question at the town board meeting a few weeks ago, like, is there going to be a cost to or a change in insurance? And the answer was that there probably wouldn't be, or it would be minimal. I think that Zach's big heart is a great benefit that we have in Danby, but we should probably have more of a long-term plan for maintaining it than Zach doing it for free. But I think that if we can build it and people are using it, then we will be able to do it maybe through the model of Danby Community and Parks, the way Dotson Park is maintained, something like that.
Okay, and you're going to answer the next question first. And unless anybody in the audience has any more questions they want to pose, this is pretty much the last question. And it's a sort of double question. Could you explain the difference between town government and county government? And how willing are you to work with Caroline on county issues?
Interesting question. Can I explain the difference? I mean, yes, it's about levels. I mean, the level of government that we have starts at the smallest unit. So Danby has a government that manages just the issues that are Danby specific. We manage the plowing and the highway and work with the fire district. And the county level is one above that. So the county covers multiple towns, and then the things that are better handled across multiple towns. For example, the health department. I think it makes total sense that the county has a health department and that the town of Danby doesn't. So it's just about finding the right balance. And my understanding is other counties and other states actually divide responsibilities differently. But yeah, I mean, I actually, I can't think of any reason why I wouldn't be, but yes, I would be happy to work with the town of Caroline on whatever issues are relevant there. I'm not sure if there was something specific that the question was getting at.
Zachary.
I would love to work with other governments. I think it makes things easier, sharing information. And obviously, there's different levels between the town and the legislature. It's all communication.
All right, I felt really great about answering all these other questions, and I really don't want to BS my way through the last question. I'm really proud to have been appointed to the town board, and I spent several months just catching up to speed and getting my feet under me. I feel like I'm just now getting into my stride on the town board. gonna need a little training on the next level up. I'm not completely aware of what the specific differences might be or what the smart thing to say as the answer to this question would be. Of course, I'm more than willing to work with neighboring towns or also the county government. But yeah, I don't want to try and say anything that I don't know what I'm talking about for this one.
So we're now going to go to closing statements. And we do them in the same order: Tyler, Mark, Zachary. Sorry, yes, 2 minutes.
All right. Well, I do want to spend a little bit of this time to thank the League of Women Voters and everybody who prepared for this and put in all the time, the email chains and everybody who came out, as well as Ted for all the tech help and the church. I really love being a part of the Danby community. I do see it as an honor to be a part of the town government. I'm very proud to have been appointed. I do have a very busy life as a full-time worker and father of 3 young kids. 2 of them are going to kindergarten next year, and one of them is in 2nd grade. And I live off grid, so I have a lot of things on my plate, taking up a lot of my time. But if elected to this position, I will find ways to cut corners and make time for this position. I do take it very seriously. Thanks.
I'll save a few seconds and say ditto all of the thanks. A lot of people did a lot of work to make this happen. I guess I mostly want to close by saying if I've said anything that's interested you or whether you agreed or disagreed, please come up to me, whether it's here at Danby Food and Drink, reach out to me. I love meeting new people. Going around to petitioning, it was hard at first learning to knock on people's doors, but I actually really learned to love it. Meeting people, seeing people's beautiful properties, all these, especially homes that are a little further set back, getting to see people's gardens and yards and beautiful art and the things that they collect. The more that I've, met people, the more I enjoyed it. And I started to really look forward to the next house and see who I could get to meet at the next turn. So I guess in closing, I really believe that I have a lot of skills that I can bring to the board, administrative and technical. I believe that I have sort of interpersonal skills that I can really put to good use to help the town. And I felt like I had one more thing. I don't think I do, though. So thank you, everybody, for coming out, and look forward to getting to know you all more.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's great to see so many familiar faces and others that I hope to get to know better. All the topics tonight deserve more than 1 minute of discussion. I'm willing to speak more about at any point in the future. I really just love answering questions. When you serve on the town board, you represent everyone in the community. It's important to me that people's concerns are heard. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak, and I look forward to talking to all of you soon.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you to the audience. Thanks. And then just finally, just to remind you all that you should go out and actually vote. So early voting starts on the 14th. And then the actual voting day is the 24th. So it's important. And thank you to our candidates for coming.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Really interesting.